In August 2025, something striking happened in Lagos. A man known for fierce words and fearless battles landed on Nigerian soil. His message was not small, his warning was sharp, his vision was wide. At a time when Africa is pulled apart by borders, poverty, and old wounds, this visit carried a weight far beyond one trip. Julius Malema, leader of South Africa's economic freedom fighters, arrived in Nigeria with a call that could not be ignored. The timing was critical. Tensions around xenophobia were rising. Anger at lingering colonial ties was boiling. And across Africa, young people were asking one question: where is the path forward?
We want the minerals of Africa to be returned to the Africans because that's where they belong. We want to build industries in Africa and process our minerals here in Africa. We've got the capacity. We must never allow the imperialist forces to divide us in order to take our minerals from us. We demand one Africa. We demand borderless Africa.
Malema's visit came as he joined the Nigerian Bar Association's annual conference. But his purpose was not just legal debate. It was about truth, history, and a vision for Africa's future. Standing before lawyers, governors, and citizens, his words carried both fire and fear. He began with an attack on the lingering shadow of France. His anger was direct, accusing Europe of surviving on African wealth. Malema declared that if African nations withdrew their resources, France would collapse overnight. He called the European state a country that produces nothing and survives only by feeding on African soil. The room grew still as his words cut through the silence. These were not new claims, but hearing them spoken so boldly in Nigeria's largest city was a reminder of how deep the wounds still run. He spoke of gold, oil, and minerals flowing north, while African people remained poor. He urged leaders to stop serving foreign interests and to finally serve their people. And then came the moment that drew global attention. Malema did not only target France. He turned his fire toward the United States and even called out Donald Trump by name. His message was blunt.
We don't care what Trump thinks of us. He will never choose a policy position for Africans. We are not subject of Trump. We must refuse to be subjects of Trump.
We don't care what Trump thinks of us. We must refuse to be subjects of Trump. It was a rare moment of open defiance. Few African leaders dared to challenge American power so directly, but Malema's words left no room for doubt. His fight was not only against Europe's colonial legacy, but also against the influence of Washington.
You know, xenophobia is the fear or hatred of foreigners. For many years, this form of attack has affected nationals of other countries in South Africa, including Nigeria.
Malema tied his speech to the painful scars of xenophobia in South Africa. For years, Nigerians and other Africans living there have faced attacks, abuse, and even death. Shops were looted, families displaced, and businesses destroyed. The fear of foreigners turned into violence, leaving deep wounds in African unity. He admitted that division is a trap. He warned that Africa will never rise if Africans see one another as enemies. He spoke of solidarity, common struggle, and shared destiny. His call was sharp, urgent, and unbending. No African nation, he said, can prosper in isolation. The governor of Lagos, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, welcomed him warmly. He praised Malema's courage to speak truth to power. He agreed that Africa must solve its own problems without waiting for outsiders. Their meeting carried the weight of history. Nigeria had long supported South Africa during its struggle against apartheid. Nigerians gave scholarships, refuge, and resources to South African exiles. It was a bond of sacrifice and solidarity. Yet, in recent years, xenophobia strained this relationship. Malema's visit seemed to reopen that old bridge. Still, Malema remains controversial. In South Africa, he is seen as a radical. His speeches are fiery, often directed at elites who control land and wealth. He reminds his people that after apartheid, true economic freedom has yet to arrive. Land remains in the hands of a few. Wealth is concentrated among elites. For Malema, political freedom without economic freedom is shallow. This message travels beyond South Africa. Across the continent, many young people see him as a bold voice, unafraid to challenge both foreign powers and African leaders. Comparisons with Patrice Lumumba often arise. Like the Congolese hero, Malema frames African unity as a sacred mission. The struggle, he says, is not finished. It will take courage, sacrifice, and a refusal to bow before Europe or America. His speech in Lagos drew both admiration and criticism. Supporters said his words reignited the African spirit. Critics warned that his fire could deepen divisions. But no one could ignore him. He did not come to please. He came to provoke. Behind his presence lies a larger truth. Africa today is weighed down by poverty, conflict, corruption, and foreign interference. Young people grow restless. They see their leaders fail. They watch their resources leave. They question whether independence delivered real freedom. Into this space walks Malema, offering anger as fuel and unity as a weapon. For Nigerians, his words on xenophobia carried deep resonance. Many still remember the violence their citizens suffered in Johannesburg and Durban. Bodies were sent home, families were broken, businesses lost. Malema's call to end such hatred was both apology and warning. Africans, he said, cannot build a future by destroying one another. In Lagos, his presence revived old memories of solidarity. During apartheid, Nigeria offered shelter, scholarships, and resources to South Africa. It was a brotherhood of struggle, but xenophobia in recent years had cracked this bond. Malema's speech reached across that broken bridge, reminding both nations of their shared destiny. Yet, questions remain. Can speeches heal wounds? Can fiery words erase decades of mistrust? Can one leader carry a continent's vision? These doubts linger. But what cannot be denied is the impact of his visit. Malema's words spread across social media, debated in homes, campuses, and offices. Young Africans called him a hero. Others called him dangerous. But none ignored him. At only 44 years old, Malema's political journey is still unfolding. His Economic Freedom Fighters Party has gained millions of supporters in South Africa and holds a growing presence in parliament. Some whisper he could one day lead South Africa. Others imagine him as a voice for a united Africa. These dreams may be far, but they remain alive in the minds of those who listened in Lagos. In his closing words, Malema did not soften his tone. He insisted the African dream is not dead. It will live if Africans hold hands, reject division, and reclaim their resources. He told his audience to stop waiting for the West to save them, declaring instead, Africans must save Africa. This is why his visit matters. It came at a time of rising global competition for Africa's minerals, oil, and land. Terrorism spreads fear. Corruption eats away at trust. Amid these storms, Malema's voice was a call for unity. No nation, he said, can stand alone. Only together can Africa rise. His Lagos trip was not about charm, but about challenge. It was about telling Africans that the time for excuses is over. It was about saying, in sharp and fearless words, that freedom is only real when shared by all. The African dream, he declared, waits for courage, unity, and fire. And in Lagos, for a brief but powerful moment, that dream seemed alive again. Julius Malema's visit to Nigeria has reopened old debates about Africa's unity, leadership, and future. His words may divide opinion, but they also ignite conversation. The question is not just what Malema said, it's what Africans will do next. What do you think? Can Africa truly rise through unity, or will old divisions keep holding it back? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep this conversation alive. If you believe Africa must write its own story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more voices can join this discussion.